What up? What's going on? It's Kilo, and we are back for another episode of the Regular Podcast on the Regular Network.
It's real.
What's his name again? Kilo?
Shout out my Kilo, man. Kilo in the mother building.
What's going on, my good people? What's going on, my good people? We are back. It's that time of the week again for us to record, for me to record, for y'all to watch, hopefully listen, hopefully share. Please make sure you share this video. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you comment your thoughts below. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Trying to get to that 4,000 mark. We are so close, but still not there yet. And close does not get it. And it's not like 4,000 is the goal or anything like that. But we just want to hit that mark so we can get past it, get over that hump, get over that hurdle, make it past it and grasp it. How's everybody's week been? You know, my week has been cool. These are the types of weeks that I really live for. Last week, I consider that a down week, right? Last week's podcast, even though some of the views were a little bit better on some videos and there was more engagement than what has commonly been happening in the last few months. What I would consider a down week because it didn't nothing that I talked about last week really required me to get into any deep dives like I like to do. I didn't need to have 10 tabs open to go from page to page, look at this article, do research. I didn't have to do that. It was a lot of pop culture stuff, a lot of stuff going on in the news and the media. It wasn't really too much of my own input on what was going on. And as far as like intelligent input, it was more so just biased, subjective input, right? Which is cool. Like I can do that too. I'm fine with that. But that's what I would consider a down week. It didn't really challenge me mentally. Like this, what I'm about to get into now is what I like to do, right? It was a big week in the podcast game because we got some big news. Speaking of big news, though, briefly, this ain't even a topic, but I just want to say it as part of the intro. Taylor Rooks went and got married, like on some surprise. This is why this is cold, right? As far as sports media go, Taylor Rooks is like one of the most highly sought after, what everybody thought, eligible bachelorettes. Pretty much everybody, us fans, I'm saying fans, everybody thought she was a single woman. Like not married. Everybody thought she was just flat out single, no man, no nothing, and available. There was rumors out there about which NBA players or whatever she was dealing with. And it turns out she popped out and she introduced her man to the world with wedding pictures. And I'm not even like, she didn't introduce this man like, she didn't do a soft launch. This is the hardest launch you could ever do. There was no pictures of her in public holding hands with nobody. There was no pictures of her sitting at dinner with anybody. I'm talking about prior to this wedding. There was no pictures of her sitting at a table with anybody, hugging some man that nobody could identify. I don't know how she did this. Not to say it's not my business, but I'm just saying I don't know how she kept it quiet, because one thing about it is normally when you are a person that people are highly desiring, or you're a desirable person like Taylor Rooks was, people are just in your business naturally, right? Because they want to know what's going on with you, and they want to know like who's going to be the lucky person to be able to get this lady who has been around some of the richest entertainers in her whole time, you know, in media. And it seems like none of those people was able to get her. And now she has popped out with a man that nobody knows who he is. I'm not saying nobody. Clearly, there was a lot of celebrities and stuff at this wedding. Somebody knows who this man is. It's just that the fans didn't know who he was. And so there was a lot of stuff on social media. There was a lot of funny things like, you know, posts, people saying Taylor Rooks is married, I'm not all right, you know, all that type of stuff. So it was funny, man. Shout out to her. Shout out to her husband. Great way to pop out. I think that's going to get her a lot more respect. I'm sure people already respected her because she looked untouchable. She looked like, damn, like this girl just, you know what I mean? Like we ain't heard about her popping out with nobody. Like, so that was getting her a lot of respect anyway. But now that she has popped out this way, her respect level is going to go through the roof, because first of all, men love competition. Second of all, men respect when it's like okay, touche, or like a checkmate type of move, like, oh wow, like one of those plot twists from hell type of thing. Men, we like that type of stuff. All right, so shout out to Taylor Rooks. I don't even know what her new last name is going to be. I'm sure she'll keep on going by Rooks though in entertainment. And then in other news, which is going to be a broader topic, our good brother Malcolm-Jamal Warner has passed away in a tragic boating accident. One that completely took everybody off guard, because what the hell? What the hell? Malcolm-Jamal Warner, famously known as Theo from The Cosby Show. My favorite show ever, right? The Cosby Show, to me, is the greatest show ever created for television, right? When I say for television, I mean shows for streaming networks too. The Cosby Show is the best show ever. And I've been saying that for years. Now, I didn't just start saying that. It's all on my Twitter. So that really is my favorite show. It seems like a lot of times when people judge shows and they pick the best shows ever, they always pick like a drama show or an action show. Like it's like they act like sitcoms can't classify or don't qualify to be in that conversation. I'm just like, the Cosby Show puts all these other shows to shame. You understand what I'm saying? So yes, the Cosby Show is my favorite show ever. I was hoping that these TV networks and all the streaming services and all that would put their beef with Bill Cosby to the side and show Malcolm-Jamal Warner the ultimate respect and play the Cosby Show in a marathon or let people binge watch it or whatever. But no, not at all. They do not give a damn. Their hate for Bill Cosby is stronger than their love for Malcolm-Jamal Warner. So the Cosby Show remains behind the meanest of paywalls that you'll ever find. And except for me, my homeboy back home, Dames, shout out to my boy Dames. He hooked me up with every single episode of The Cosby Show. So I have it all now. You know what I'm saying? If y'all want The Cosby Show, if y'all want every single episode of The Cosby Show, hit me up, regpodcast@gmail.com. I will make sure you get it also, right? And you know what I'm saying? We're not going to post it on the internet or nothing like that. We're going, you know what I mean, respect whatever the hell these people got going on. But if we want to get this thing out so we can show Theo the love he deserves and we want to binge watch it on our own, hit me up, regpodcast@gmail.com. We're going to make sure that we watch The Cosby Show at our leisure whenever we feel like it. Let me just read a little bit of this article about brother Malcolm-Jamal Warner passing away. Malcolm-Jamal Warner, who as a teenage son, Theo Huxtable on The Cosby Show was central to the cultural phenomenon that helped define the 1980s, died at 54 in an accidental drowning in Costa Rica, authorities there said Monday. So he was only 54 years old, right? And if you've seen pictures of him, he didn't even look that old, right? He looked younger than that. So he had maintained pretty much, if you've seen Malcolm-Jamal Warner on Malcolm and Eddie in the late 90s or early 2000s, whenever that was, he had pretty much looked exactly the same up until he died. Like he didn't age. Really might have had a couple gray hairs in there, something like that. But his face, he looked the same as he looked on Malcolm like 30 years ago or 25 years ago, right? Costa Rica's Judicial Investigation Department said Warner drowned Sunday afternoon on a beach on Costa Rica's Caribbean coast. He was swimming at Playa Cacoles or Coques, I don't know how you say that, in Limon province when a current pulled him deeper into the ocean. The currents, man, the ocean is such a dangerous place to be at. He was rescued by people on the beach, the department's initial report said, but first responders from Costa Rica's Red Cross found him without vital signs and he was taken to the morgue. Damn, took him straight to the morgue? Okay, I guess, but it's, okay. Warner created many TV moments etched in the memories of Generation X children and their parents. Also millennials, guys. What? Including pilot episode argument with Cosby about grades and careers and another episode where Theo tries in vain to hide his ear piercing from his dad. Theo was the only son among the four daughters in the household of Cosby's Cliff Huxtable and Felicia Rashad's Claire Huxtable on the NBC sitcom, and he would be one of the prime representations of the American life and black boyhood on a show that was the most popular in America for much of its run from 84 to 92. Biggest show in the world at that time. Warner worked for more than 40 years as an actor and director, also starring in sitcoms Malcolm and Eddie and Read Between the Lines and in the medical drama The Resident. His final credits came in TV guest roles, including the dramatic 4-episode arc last year on the network procedural 911, where he played a nurse who was a long-term survivor of a terrible fire. I grew up with a maniacal obsession with not wanting to be one of those wear Where are they now, kids? Warner told the Associated Press in 2015. I feel very blessed to be able to have all of these avenues of expression, to be where I am now and finally at a place where I can let go of the worry about having a life after Cosby. Shout out to that. He played Theo Huxtable for 8 seasons, appearing in 197 episodes of The Cosby Show, earning an Emmy nomination for supporting actor in a comedy in 1986. Theo was our son. Also, Viola Davis gave him like a tribute. Theo was our son, our brother, our friend. He was absolutely so familiar, and we rejoiced at how TV got it right, the Oscar winner said on Instagram. But Malcolm got it right. We reveled in your life and are gutted by this loss. I'm not eloquent like that, but I agree with what she's saying. He wasn't my son. He was like me. The Cosby legacy, like the rest of the Cosby Show cast, Warner had to contend with the sexual assault allegations against its titular star, whose conviction in the Pennsylvania court was later overturned. Why is this part of this article? Associated Press. Why is this part of this article? This is about Theo. This is about Malcolm-Jamal Warner. He passed away tragically in a boating accident on his daughter's birthday in Costa Rica. Why do we need to know how this is situated in proximity to Bill Cosby's sexual assault case? For what? Warner told the Associated Press in 2015 that the show's legacy was tarnished. My biggest concern is when it comes to images of people of color on TV and film, Warner said. We've always had the Cosby Show to hold up against that. And the fact that we no longer have that, that's the thing that saddens me the most, because in a few generations, the Huxtable would have been just a fairy tale. Representatives for Cosby declined immediate comment. What? Okay. So then they also go into like his life after Theo on that show. Malcolm-Jamal Warner was also part of he was part of the Black American conscious community, right? So me and him didn't hang out, of course. We wasn't never around each other, but I'm saying he's part of the same like thing that I represent, right? Black American hood, Black American manhood, blackness. How can we improve it? Where have we gone wrong at? How do we fix it? You know what I'm saying? He was part of that world. And actually, I had therapy this week, and my therapist actually did run, and they was in the same circles sometimes, right? They ran into each other a few times, and they had respect for each other. My therapist had a lot of respect for him, and they're like the same. They're like 2 years apart. So that's his childhood right there. And I feel like which is funny because my therapist is almost 20 years older than me, but I also feel like the Cosby Show is my childhood. So it's very weird. But that's the thing about the Cosby Show, how great of a show it was. Because I felt like when I was watching Theo, I was looking at it like, I didn't look at Theo and look at Cosby and think like, okay, I'm Theo and I wish my dad was like Bill Cosby. I didn't look at it like that. I was looking at it like, I want to be the type of dad like Bill Cosby is. You know what I'm saying? I seen myself like a Theo type of person, but I had a whole different life to him. But I still was looking at it like I would be like a him type of person. You know what I'm saying? I had issues in school and stuff like that where it was like I didn't really figure out what my reading issues was until I became an adult. I think it was dyslexia, but it could have been something else. But that's what Theo had in the show. Theo ended up finding out that he was dyslexic when he got to college. So he had struggled, had bad grades all through K through 12, and his family couldn't figure out like, we know that you can do this stuff. We know that you're not stupid, but why are your grades not good? That was pretty much me. I made honor roll one time my whole life. Right, one grading period my whole life I made honor roll. Everybody knew I was smart, but I didn't get good grades though. Right, so I was identifying with the stuff that Theo had going on. Right, he was, you know what I'm saying. He always got girls. He was up on whatever the fashionable stuff was. You know what I'm saying. So and it's funny because that wasn't really my generation for real. It just whenever any generation that looks at the Cosby Show probably can find something that they can relate to in that show and not even realize, damn, these people are 20, 30 years older than me. All right. So shout out to him. But I did want to play this clip. I want to play a clip because it's not even just a situation where it's like, oh, we hyping him up because he passed away. You know what I mean? We putting a little extra salt on it, sugar on it, whatever like that. We really ain't. Because the scene that they described in this article that I just read is, first of all, one of the most recognizable scenes in all of TV history. That's first. Second of all, it's in the pilot episode. So it's likely a major part of the reason that the show even got picked up beyond episode 1, right? Because that piece became etched in American sitcom history, American TV history. The whole, I brought you in this world, I'll take you out. Iconic. There's no other way to describe that. It's just, and nobody was ever talking to me about like I didn't want to try hard, my brain oozing out my ears. That didn't happen. I was great in science and math, so I had the things I was good at. Anything involving numbers, I had it on lock. Numbers, equations, symbols, I had that on lock. The abstract, because numbers really, people look at numbers as like zeros, ones. This is just factual. It's not. Math is very, very, very abstract. I'm good with the obscure, numbers wise. But when it comes to literature, novels, I am not good with that. I'm still not good with it to this day. So I still don't read novels like that. If I read something, it's a textbook. It has to be an instructional book. I can read a dictionary, encyclopedia, stuff like that, news articles. I can read that type of stuff. I can't read vague apps. So Theo's struggle seemed to be with kind of everything. My struggle was mainly around like reading and fictional type of stuff. But anyway, shout out. I just want to be a regular person, live a regular life. Shout out to Theo, because this is a regular podcast on a regular network. Shout out to Theo, man. Tragic situation. 54 years old. So the reason me and my therapist was actually talking about this is because we started talking about how we feel and the anxiety that is induced around Black male mortality, premature mortality, right? Premature death. That's what we was really talking about. And like how does that affect how we are in relationships? How does that affect how we are with our parenting, right? So I was just breaking down how it definitely impacts me. And it's not even just like a celebrity thing, because it's really not a celebrity thing at all. It's really about people I know, people that I don't know, rich people, poor people, fat people, skinny people, healthy people, unhealthy people. It doesn't really seem to matter. It seems just like Black men, even if you make it out the streets, then you make it to 50 some years old, then a heart attack is getting at you. Or you make it out the military and then you making it to your 50s and then a car accident kill you. Like it just seemed to be like, damn, we can't really, how do we really like, and of course, plenty of Black men make it into their 70s, right? But it seems just like lately, the cancers and the sicknesses and the accidental deaths and there's all type of random things just keep happening. We just keep hearing these stories about Black men, prominent and otherwise, dying very early in life, way too early. So that's the thing that induces anxiety. Let me play something real quick from, this is the last podcast that he did. Give me a second. Let me pull this thing up. This is the last podcast that Malcolm-Jamal Warner ended up doing. Here's the clip.
Black soldiers are the hands down the most patriotic people walking this earth, because Black soldiers, Black military, these people are fighting. Black soldiers are the hands down the most patriotic people walking this earth, because Black soldiers, Black military, these people are fighting for freedoms that they don't even get to enjoy.
In spite of so much.
To go to another country, fight, and then come home and be treated like you're not of this country.
Right.
Yeah. And it was that conversation. So before I have a thing we talk about all the time. I have a thing about Black excellence and like Black love. Like when you put Black in front of it, it makes it a subset of that thing. Mm-hmm. But then when I started, having this argument with him, not argument, it was discussion about the history of Black soldiers, for the first time, it made me think of Black excellence in a different way, right? Like because Black excellence now is attributed to fame and money.
Never.
So that's been my issue.
Never for me.
With it. But now when I'm looking into the story, like Black survival in and of itself is Black excellence.
Y'all heard it, man. Black survival in and of itself is Black excellence. You talking. He was talking. Like I said, he wasn't like a lot of these other actors. He was out here using his voice and he was talking. You understand what I'm saying? Malcolm-Jamal Warner was talking. Y'all go look up his IMDb, man. His credits is crazy. One more thing before we get away from this Malcolm-Jamal Warner topic. One more thing. Because the streets was a little bit in a frenzy about something. And when I say the streets, I mean Instagram, of course. Let's get right into it. It's a little messy, but you know. All right. As you can see what I'm unveiling right now. This is Karen Melina White's post paying tribute and mourning the loss of her dear friend, Malcolm-Jamal Warner. Now, there is an extra piece of detail that is important about that being her dear friend. And that detail is this is actually her ex-boyfriend as well as dear friend. So this is the picture she chose to post, right? So it's a little, you know, this is the picture she chose. And here is the caption she gave. What a profound karmic relationship, my friend. Thank you. Some type of strange emoji. Until we meet again, heart emoji. Love you always and always. Wink emoji. My deepest condolences to Pam Warner, his wife and daughter. So Pam Warner's his mom, his wife, and his daughter. So Karen Melina White is saying condolences to him in this way. They were in a relationship, romantic relationship for 7 years, right? And the reason that this caused such an issue, and I'm sure when I just read it, some of y'all can probably identify with what is probably the issue here. The reason it caused such an issue is because, first of all, she's married and he was married when he died, right? And she posted this picture, right? This is a picture of them when they were in a relationship. And this is a picture when they were loving on each other. You know what I'm saying? Not in any sexual way, but they was loving on each other, right? This is a great love, clearly, that they had together. They worked together on The Cosby Show, and Karen Melina White went on as Charmaine on a different world, right? So they worked together. They were co-workers, and this is clearly not when they was working together. This is when they were older and in their relationship. People feel like this is very highly distasteful because they feel like she should have chose a better picture and she should not have said some of the stuff that she said. What a profound karmic relationship, my friend. They were saying, hey, this lady don't know what karmic mean. And then she goes on to say, until we've been, and the whole love you always and always with the wink face, people did not like that at all. The reason they didn't like that is because it looked like this may have been something that they used to say to each other back when they was in a relationship. And the wink face, see, I don't really read emojis well. I'm not good with emojis. When emojis blew up and everybody started using them on social media and stuff, I was out of commission. So I didn't really get like the tutorial on how we all as a collective would use emojis. But the way that the wink face comes after the thing, people saying like, oh, this must be something they used to say to each other. And that makes it even more inappropriate because he has a wife. Why are you essentially reminiscing on your relationship while his wife is mourning? Now, I don't agree with that, right? And it's not that I don't agree with it because I don't think that there's some type of etiquette when it comes to how people mourn and all this type of stuff. But my issue is she's not a random person. She wasn't a side chick. She wasn't some hidden person or whatever like that. That was actually somebody he was friends with and in a real relationship with. They was in a relationship, right? She's sharing something that they actually shared together during their time together. So I don't think it's wrong. It's not, to me, this is her true feeling. This is what she is really feeling. This is what she really wanted to put out into the atmosphere about the person that she had this type of relationship with, right? I could see if she was some random old side chick or something like that, right? She's not talking about anything recently. She didn't post a recent picture and she didn't say anything that outside of the scope of him dying would be considered disrespectful. Right. Or yeah, if she wasn't his ex and posted this, people wouldn't trip as much. But because there's the context of the ex and the relationship and he was married and all that, now it becomes a problem. I don't think it is really that big of a problem. And when I look at it, I don't see I wouldn't be offended by any of this. On top of the fact that she has a husband. So the fact that she has a husband really tells me she probably was not trying to cause any issues. And she kept it up too. She didn't delete it after. She got a lot of backlash. There's 2,000 comments right here. 2009 comments right here. 1,900 of them are probably telling her, you need to take this down. And she didn't take it down. And I took the picture. I took this screenshot like a day after she posted it. That was like Monday or Tuesday. So there's way more comments and engagement on it now. And they on her head. They on her head in there. So my debate of the week is around this. My debate of the week is dealing with etiquette around an ex dying and how much love should you show them if they have a surviving spouse? Because I'm assuming people have an issue with it because he has a spouse, right? So here's the question. Here's the debate of the week. And I want to know where y'all stand on it. Is it appropriate to express your love for an ex-partner that passes away? I'm talking about expressing your love, like how you felt about them while y'all were in love, right? Is that appropriate? Should you do it or should you not do it? And if you do it, should you do it publicly or should you keep it private? Right? So that's the debate of the week this week. And it is related to how Karen Melina White celebrated the life of Malcolm-Jamal Warner. Y'all let me know what y'all think about that. That's a heavy one right there. Shout out to them though, man. Great show. They did some great work. I seen some funny comments. They was like, yeah, I knew I couldn't trust her when she popped up on Lean on Me pregnant. Like it was funny. It was hilarious, some hilarious stuff. But like really, this lady is mourning. That's her friend. Y'all don't know her. She don't know y'all. She knew him though. He knew her. You see what I'm saying? So I can't knock her. I can't knock her. I'm gonna be real about it. Can't knock her. I'm not mad at somebody grieving that way. To me, I'm just saying it didn't look disrespectful to me. Y'all mind if we move on? Let's move on. Let's move on. Another major topic. Okay, so a couple weeks ago, our first case of the week was a man named Brian Koberger, right? He was a student at Washington State University. He drove across state lines to Idaho and killed 4 college students while they were in their apartment. Some of them were asleep, some not, right? Killed 4 people. He ended up taking a plea deal because he didn't want to get the death penalty, but that was the only thing his plea deal granted him. No death penalty, but he was still able to be sentenced to life in prison, right? He was sentenced this week, and the judge actually gave him 10 years pretty much for the breaking and entering, right? And then one life sentence for each one of the people he killed to be run consecutively, meaning if he does his life, dies, come back, he's still in prison for another life, dies, come back, another life, dies, come back, another life, and then he can get out after he died 4 times. Right? Pretty much saying we want to make sure that you never get a chance to get out. Now, I was looking at my clip that I did a couple weeks ago about this, and I said it back then, and I didn't even realize that was the talk of that town up there. But I said on my clip that it seems to me that he wants to be known as like a famous killer. People don't know his motives, so he wants to be written about. He wants stories, documentaries, movies, TV shows, stuff like that. It seems to me like that's what he wanted because he ended up saying, I didn't do it. Then out of nowhere, he pops up like, okay, I did do it. I'm going to plead guilty to all 4 murders. Yes, I intended to do it. Yes, I had premeditation with it. And then now the whole case is just over, no death penalty. And he does not have to explain why he did it. So now there will be even more thirst from I don't call them fans, but like followers of this case, more thirst to know why he would do that. These people had no relation to him. These are literally just 4 random people that he drove up on, slid into their back sliding patio window, a door, and killed them, right? So there's a lot of rumors about him possibly doing book deals and TV deals and stuff like that. So I guess we should all stay tuned because we know Hulu is extremely thirsty for stuff like this. And we'll see who'll be the first thirsty network to jump on it. So, yeah, he was given 4 life sentences to be run consecutive, and he has 10 years on top of that. So shout out to him. 4 lives plus 10. In other news, now this is a big one for me, right? This is a big one for me because I'm in the content creation space, and it's not big for me because I benefit from it in any way. But it's big for me because, first of all, I've been a supporter for a long time of this podcast. that I'm about to talk about. Second of all, I just like to see black business thrive. Third of all, I love competition. Not always between me, but between other people. I love to see competition. I love to see how they shape up throughout years. You know what I'm saying? Joe Budden and Ian Schwartzman did a New York Times piece essentially letting everybody know, hey guys, we are rich and successful as hell at the Joe Budden Network. Let me pull up some of the excerpts from this article. Right? So if y'all remember a couple weeks ago, Joe Budden posted a screenshot of his Patreon, and he was trying to show how much engagement he was getting, but he ended up exposing that his network on Patreon had made like $900,000 for the month of June, just a month, right? And the month wasn't even over yet. $900,000 on Patreon alone for just a month, right? So that sparked all type of discussions, all type of conversations. The people was like, is it real? Is it fake? Is it whatever? They underpaying people, all this, right? So the New York Times gets involved, and Joe Budden and Ian go on the New York Times and essentially confirm, yes, we're making $1 million a month on Patreon, and yes, we make $20 million a year. And Joe went on his podcast and said, that's just from the publishing. No telling what other money is coming in from this thing. Let's read some of this stuff because I'm highly interested in it. How does a podcast star make $20 million a year? By the way, independent. The podcaster Joe Budden, ex-rapper who has been called the Howard Stern of hip hop, wanted to flex a little bit. He accidentally overflexed. Now, I've never heard anybody call him the Howard Stern of hip hop. I've heard people call Charlemagne the Black Howard Stern. I've never heard anybody call Joe Budden the Howard Stern of hip hop. Not to say nobody has. I just never heard it. And I've been watching this podcast since 2015. I ain't never heard nobody say that. Last month, he posted a screenshot of his traffic from Patreon, a subscription service that allows fans to pay creators directly through monthly contributions. It showed more than 30 million visits in 30 days. Revenue figures on Patreon data had been scribbled over, but sleuths manipulated the image, and to them, it appeared that he had earned more than $900,000, a number that made headlines. Yet, that was just his earnings from the month in June. Overall, the Joe Budden Network is on pace to generate more than $20 million this year, according to his chief executive, Ian Schwartzman. So he went into, if you're going to go team up, like, don't just go teaming up with these Jewish people and then you just standing next to a white man just because, right? If you're going to go stand next to these white people, if you're going to go stand next to Ian and these Jewish people and make them an integral part of your business, at least make sure that they are bringing this type of value to what you got going on, right? So I'm not mad at Joe making Ian a business partner if Ian is going to help him make $20 million a year after he stops rapping, right? Cannot be mad at that at all. The money coming in. So far this year, the Joe Budden Network has earned an average of $1.04 million per month on Patreon. It has about 70,000 paying subscribers. Subscriptions range from $5 to $50 per month, with higher tiers granting access to more episodes, including from spinoff shows. 2 weekly episodes on the flagship podcast are released free to the general public. This means in 2025, subscription revenue will probably exceed $12 million, enough to make Mr. Budden the top earner on the crowdfunding platform. The status and Mr. Budden's figures were confirmed by a spokeswoman for Patreon. Now, this is major, right? If y'all remember a couple of years ago with the Pod Wars, now I watch many different shows because I got to get the angles from all over the place so I can see what's going on with the Pod Wars, right? Andrew Schultz and the Flagrant team was laughing at Joe Budden saying how their Patreon was doing so much better than his, right? And they was like, yo, we pretty much killing them on Patreon. We don't really care about this YouTube stuff because Patreon is where we're getting this money from. And Joe Budden ain't doing it like that, right? But this spokesperson for Patreon is confirming that Joe Budden is the top earner on the entire platform. This is not black podcast. This is not hip hop podcast. This ain't male hip hop podcast. Joe Budden is the top earner of all types of podcasts, of any type of creator on Patreon. That's everybody. That includes everybody, including Andrew Schultz, who laughed at Joe Budden. Right? And I remember that. Y'all can forget. Everybody can forget. That's fine. But they was laughing at Joe. right? Saying how much he wasn't worth and all this type of stuff. But I remember. I remember it all. So these are the types of things that I like to see. Oh, this is not a black-owned company, right? Patreon is not a black-owned company. But a black media person, a black content creator is the top earning person on that entire thing. Beast. But subscriptions are not the podcast's only revenue stream. Advertising also generates several $1 million, Mr. Ian Schwartzman said. It's Friday and I'm off work, but these people think they could just keep calling me, even though they could see like my out of office messages. You know what I mean? The automatic replies and all that. They just feel like they can call me. I mean, it can because I have a work phone, but they're not getting an answer. Okay. Mr. Budden's company sells its own ads, unlike many other top podcasters who team up with large networks like iHeart, Wondery, and SiriusXM and split the ad revenue. These companies typically host an upfront check, a minimum guarantee, but control the rates and the number of commercials played each episode. Let me read this top sentence again. Mr. Budden's company sells its own ads, unlike many other top podcasters who team up with large networks like iHeart. Where y'all think? That's a shot at Charlemagne. We will be back to that. That's a shot at Charlemagne right there. Mr. Schwartzman said the company tried to not oversaturate our audience with ads, usually working with a maximum of only 3 sponsors at any given time. Smart. The network's smaller revenue sources include money from passive advertisements on social media platforms like the ads that play automatically during the videos on YouTube, where Mr. Budden has more than 1.5 million followers. He was an early adopter in 2016 of video advertisements on social media platform. Like the ads that play automatically during, he was an early adopter of video podcasting. The company also sells merchandise and licenses some of its content. How he got here. Mr. Budden's approach reflects an emerging trend among podcasters and creators, a desire for more autonomy and equity in every deal with fewer middlemen. Learning this lesson took time. In 2017, while Mr. Budden was co-hosting a show on the Culture website Complex, we were just getting by, Mr. Schwartzman said. I was on an allowance, Mr. Budden said, $500 a week. I don't believe that. He's lying. It wasn't $500 a week. Then from 2018 to 2020, the Joe Budden podcast had a licensing agreement with Spotify that paid the show less than $2 million per year, Mr. Schwartzman said. The deal included no shares in advertising, the revenue or stock, and the podcast could be published only to Spotify. I remember them days. I never wanted to be using Spotify in my life ever, but I got on it to listen to Joe Budden's podcast because I was a listener, right? At that time, I was an avid listener. After a rather acrimonious split, this podcast sought a new partner, but the right deal never materialized. One potential contract would have paid $44 million over 2 years, for example, but required removing all content from YouTube. The bigger the money gets, the more strings that are attached, Mr. Schwartzman said. We wanted someone to acknowledge how valuable we were by showing that they were comfortable giving us skin in the game. The Creator Wars. Patreon came along in 2021 offering no guaranteed check, but equity in the company and advisory roles for Mr. Budden and Mr. Schwartzman. Joe is in a league of his own, said Jack Conte, chief executive of Patreon. It is not common for people to make $1 million a month on Patreon. The Joe Budden Network reached that milestone in November, maintaining it every month since. Them boys cooking now. Recently, subscription platforms like Patreon and its younger competitor Substack have pushed more aggressively for podcasters to sign up, promising independence and control of their intellectual property, sometimes with grand language about media revolution. Creators have more leverage and control than actually ever before in the history of the arts, Mr. Conte said. This year, Substack announced a $20 million fund to help entice creators away from Patreon and other rivals. These platforms also benefit from taking a roughly 10% cut of creators' earnings. Podcasters on Patreon earned more than $472 million collectively in 2024, up 35% from 2023, according to the company. Yet many creators still feel daunted when they even hear the word paywall, Mr. Budden said. Given the success of Joe Rogan or Alex Cooper, it may seem more attractive to a young podcaster to pursue a big network deal. Which is why, after the screenshot blunder, Mr. Budden opted to disclose his independent earnings for the first time here. even if it made him and his business partner, excuse me, uncomfortable to put any money situation out there for the public and competitors to see. Mr. Schwartzman said, how else will they know that they can do it this way? Now, I will say this about Ian, because I've been following Ian for some years now too, right? Ian has pretty much been going everywhere and talking to anybody that'll listen about independence and keeping this stuff in-house, right? So I believe fully that I don't think they're just bluffing. Before they had all this money right here, Ian was trying to push that message right there. We should own it. We should own our IP. We should keep it, and we should hold it long term. Joe was pushing it too, and this is really what his beef was around with the complex thing. He was beefing about ownership for real, right? So shout out to them, man. This is major. I think. Like I feel like this is major. This should not be taken lightly. I think it should be celebrated. Excuse me. I think people should just recognize that rap is a gateway. Rap is not really something that you want to do forever. You really just need that avenue to get to that outlet. And that's what rap is for many people. And it's funny that people like talk about people like Post Malone and Drake that way, because I'm like, yeah, they are white. Drake ain't white, but they are like from outside of our culture, Black American culture. But they are following the blueprint. Like people like Jay-Z put it out there to pretty much be, I'm only just using rap. Like I was a drug dealer. I really don't even care to rap for real. I'm just using rap to get the money I need so I can first of all, get out the streets. Second of all, so I can go do these things that I really want to do, which is real estate and tech investing and putting money in clubs and hotels and all this type of stuff, like venues. That's what I really want to do. I really don't want to rap. I just rap because that's how I'm gonna get my money. Jay-Z even famously talked about, truthfully, I wanted to rhyme like Common Sense. I did 5 million. I ain't been rapping like Common Sense. That's just how he felt. That's how he handled it. And these people that come behind him, they looking at it the same way. I'm going to use rap to get in the door, and then I'm going to go do my own thing. I'm going to use rap to get in the door. I'm going to go do country. I'm going to use rap to get in the door. I'm going to go do, reggaeton or whatever the hell Drake be doing these days. That's everybody. So I think Joe only did it because he kind of felt like he had to, because rap was done with him. However, it still was the gateway that led him to where he is right now. Most of the people that are fans of his podcast were fans of his rap, but they weren't paying customers of his rap. They were listeners. But Black fans, we don't always pay for things that we indulge in, that we consume. You know what I'm saying? And it's not because we don't want to support people. It's just because we are looking for the deal. We're looking for the deal. If I can listen to it for free, then you're gonna get a lot more listens from Black people. If I got to pay for it, 70 subscribers versus 1.5 million on YouTube, but 70,000 people that are paying for something equals a whole lot of money, right? So Joe and Ian put together the smart business deal. Now, this brings me back to the Pod Wars. I know Charlamagne and Joe Budden don't talk about each other as much anymore. We never see them in the same place anymore. They barely say each other's name, even when they're in the news. But I didn't forget. The Pod Wars are not over. This is a continuation. Joe Budden even doing this article is a continuation of the Pod Wars. And I think he's trying to dare somebody else to put their numbers out, specifically Charlamagne. I think he's trying to dare them to do it. He's so confident in his 20 million a year, and everybody have been throwing money at him for so long, telling him you broke, shut up, you ain't sell nothing, all that. So now I'm gonna throw my 20 million a year out, and what we gonna say is over 20 million, because y'all really don't know the real number. We're gonna say over, 1 million a month, because y'all really don't know the real number unless I tell you. I think this is his way of bringing out the other big fish. Tell us how much y'all really made. This is pretty much Joe saying, I don't believe the numbers that y'all talking about. I don't believe that y'all really got that deal that y'all said y'all got. I don't believe y'all doing as good as y'all acting like y'all doing. Here's my numbers, verifiable. $1 million a month on Patreon alone. Let me see something. What y'all gonna do? That's what I think, right? The Pod Wars are not over between Joe and the rest of these people. I think that's what's driving Joe to do some of the stuff he's doing. Pay his people a lower share of his bottom line. Push out people that become too much of a nuisance around money, and bring in people who are further removed from the origin story of the podcast and have less and less and less stake or less and less claim to equity. You'll just be an independent contractor. You didn't help me build this. Nobody that's there now was around at the beginning. Not even Ian. Ian wasn't even there at the beginning of the podcast. There's one person that was there at the beginning of the podcast that lasted through the major success. That's Rory. He's the only person. We'll get to that in a second. Charlemagne and Joe Budden. This is what I think is interesting with those two, right? Now, so we just read this whole article about Joe. Joe went the independent route. He started to try to do his own shows. They didn't really work out that well. He had the one with Mandy and Bridget. And then he had the one with Ming Lee and Karen Civil. He had the one with Zaire, the football player. So he had a few different shows. I don't think they really took off like that. I think they're still affiliated with Zaire, but the Mandy one is gone. They started beefing. The Karen Civil one and the Ming Lee one gone. They never really explained what happened with that. But so pretty much Joe has had to put everything on his own back and carry everybody, right? Which could be a problem as well. And that's where we get into with Charlemagne's route, Charlemagne's plan. The reason I'm always going to compare their podcast journey is because around 2020 to 2021, when the Spotify deal was ending, at that same time, Joe Budden was trying to re-up for a $100 million deal with Spotify. Charlemagne was going publicly, throwing a bunch of bull crap out. They was mudslinging back and forth, right? And Charlemagne was throwing a bunch of mud around, right? Saying, like laughing at Joe, saying Joe think he worth $100 million. He not worth $100 million. They not doing that much. He was saying a bunch of crazy stuff, which I don't think should have been happening, right? Very whack. But they started to throwing things out at each other. So then the whole story about Joe like sexually abusing his dog came out, and Charlemagne made a big thing, like a big joke about it, and he did a whole thing about that, right? So then Joe, in his way of trying to get back at him, said, "Don't make me call that girl from South Carolina up here and interview her." So then Star goes and actually interviews the girl. So they mess up. Charlemagne had a deal with HBO where he was about to start doing some show on HBO. He lost that deal. Charlemagne was also in negotiations with iHeart at that time, right? So they messed Charlemagne's stuff up, and Joe felt like there was a campaign to mess up his ability to get his $100 million deal up also. If y'all remember, there was like quote unquote pod wars back before the pandemic. But it was friendly because Charlemagne and Joe would actually do some work together. But after that time period where they were negotiating and they both messed each other's deals up, after that, they had never done any other work again after that, right? Then it became beef. It was competition before, then it became beef, right? So Joe decided, okay, if I can't get these networks to pay me $100 million and nobody thinks I'm worth $100, and they're going to laugh at me and they're going to ridicule me for even attempting to get it. And they're going to other black people are going to try to tear me down because I'm trying to get $100 million from these networks. Then I'll go and build my own. At the same time, Charlemagne comes out and announces he had just done a partnership with with iHeartMedia called the Black Effect Podcast Network, right? So here's these two different routes. There's Joe going independent. Then there's Charlemagne going, okay, I'm going hyper corporate. Because not only have I been with this corporate machine for the last 10 years, but also I'm going to double down and I'm going to try to funnel a bunch of other black talent into that same system with me, right? So now they do a joint venture, Charlemagne and them, they do a joint venture, 50-50 deal, right? We got Black Effect owns half this deal. iHeart owns the other half. We're going to bring Drink Champs over here. We're going to bring 85 South Show over here. We're going to bring All the Smoke over here. So they got a bunch of podcasts on Black Effect. Let me pull some of them up so I can read, so I can look at them. The Black Effect has a bunch of podcasts, but there's only a few big ones. They have the 85 South Show, All the Smoke. They got Big Facts, which is not the biggest, but I like it. They got Black Tech Green Money. It's not that big, but I like it. Carefully Reckless, not that big. The big ones, they have Decisions is a big one. Drink Champs, okay. They have a lot of podcasts, but most of them are not big podcasts, right? So essentially Charlemagne's route is, okay, I'll make my money in podcasting off of bringing all of these black podcasts to iHeart. We'll wrap it in blackface, essentially, by putting the Black Effect thing on it. So they're not signed to iHeart, they signed to Black Effect. But really, that's an iHeart partnership, right? It's 50% them. And we'll just make our money off of getting a piece of everybody's advertisement, right? So really, we're getting a piece of iHeart's advertisement. So they don't ever have to tell us, okay, iHeart has $1 billion a year in advertising revenue, right? iHeart is formerly Clear Channel. iHeart has the biggest media company in America, or one of them, definitely the biggest radio company in America. They have to split that $1 billion across all of their properties nationwide, maybe internationally, right? What's the percentage of that $1 billion that's going to the Black networks, which is the Black Effect Network? Which percentage of that is going to Black Effect, right? And then of that, how is they splitting up the revenue, the ad money between the shows on the network? Is it by views? Is it by listens? Who knows? Another thing is the Black Effect is only the podcast aspect, which is audio only. All of these shows that I'm looking at here, their biggest source of their incomes come from their video. The video content is where they make all the money at, not audio, right? So it's interesting that was the route that they wanted to take. Essentially, Charlemagne is pretty much like, hey, iHeart, not now. He did it already. It's done. I'll be the person, like, y'all need some black faces over here. I'll go get all of these people. They trust me. They love me. I'll go get them and bring them over here for y'all. And I'll put them in deals and y'all pay them a bunch of money and I'll just take a tiny little cut. I just want to be the person that's looked at as funneling these people to this major deal situation. Right? So while they do have, Black Effect has, let's see, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36, 40, 44. They got 46 shows on Black Effect. But I know for a fact, I'm looking at one right now called We Talk Back. Some of these shows are no longer around. So they're showing every show that they ever had catalog on, which also means that when you do a deal with these people, they own the product that you put out for that period that you put it out while you're on a deal with them. Right? So 46 black shows have been funneled to, and I love R&B Money. They got R&B Money too. 46 black shows, podcast shows from celebrities and otherwise have been funneled to iHeart. And I'm sure they're making some good money. But it's the opposite of independence, and it's the opposite of black ownership. You know what I'm saying? So, and I'm not even knocking Charlemagne. That's just one route. It's just the opposite of what we're talking about with Joe Budden, because essentially none of the people that have deals with iHeart are in any position to make the type of money that Joe Budden is in a position to make. Right? Because let's just say Joe Budden, they're at like what, episode 890, some crazy like that. If they decide we are about to do a deal and we're going to put every single podcast that we have on a major streaming platform, we'll take it off YouTube and do the deal to put it all on Netflix. You're talking about a $200 million deal. Maybe 150 at minimum for 3 years. Right? Nobody on this network on Black Effect is in a position to do that. The biggest thing that they have on Black Effect is 85 South. And the reason I say 85 South, they might not do bigger numbers overall than Drink Champs, but 85 South, because of the type of business that they do outside of audio, with their video platform is huge. They have their own website. They have crazy merch that they sell a lot of, and then they tour. Their touring is cold, right? So I would say the Pod Wars, Joe has looked like he has won the Pod Wars. Now, this is where I would say there is another long-term step that we could get into. And the reason I'm talking about this so long is because I really am into this topic. There's another step that we could get into with this whole Pod War thing, right? Because Joe Budden has not been good at scouting talent for other podcasts on his network, because he has not been successful at that, it is likely that the only way he will be successful in this podcast space, is for him to actually be doing the work, all the work. He will likely have to continue podcasting at the rate that he's doing now for his network to see this type of success. That's a problem. The fact that he has such a hard time working with other people when he doesn't have creative control over the show, that's a problem. Every time he has a situation where he has other people that have their own show but is under him, he can't manage them and he can't seem to keep a good relationship with these people. That's a problem. If in order for us to do good, I have to be the one showing up to work. So for us to, now, of course, if you have to show up to work and you make $20 million a year, that's amazing. But for somebody that's looking at becoming this media mogul and podcast boss type of person, you don't want to have to do that forever, right? So that's where Charlemagne is in a better position long term. And again, I keep comparing them because they put themselves against each other. So I'm never letting them be separated. Anytime one of them makes a major deal or major move, I'm going to look at what the other one is doing. I don't care. Charlemagne is in a better position long term with this deal with iHeart. Now, maybe not for ownership, but he's in a better position because he's making money off of podcasts that are bigger than his own podcast. 5 of the podcasts that I named are bigger than Brilliant Idiots, right? That's their own Black Effect, and Brilliant Idiots is not even on Black Effect, right? 5 of the podcasts that Charlemagne has on his Black Effect network are bigger than his own podcast. He's eating off of podcasts that are bigger than him, right? Bigger than his own show. And I'm sure that he can keep that going. One thing about him is he has been able to keep relationships for a long time in the industry. When people come in and start working with Charlemagne, they normally work with him for a very long time. You don't see a lot of people falling out with Charlemagne that actually work with him in this space, right? In podcasting, they love him in podcasting. He put a lot of people on in podcasting, and he keeps these relationships. So it's looking like the 20-year play. Charlemagne is on the track for that play, but the 5-year play is looking like Joe Budden is winning that one, right? So this is very interesting. I just feel like we need, like, if you make content, if you are a content creator, you should be looking at people in the space that you are in and saying like, okay, ooh, that's a cold move right there. Cold move right there. $1 million worth of game came out and it's like, what, they got a $100, $200 million deal, something like that, for 5 years, something crazy. But they have disgusting advertisements on their podcast. Like it messes up, to me, it messes the viewing experience up. Like I love the energy that they had in the early days, and I'm never knocking nobody getting money, but it does mess up the viewing experience to have to watch that many advertisements. They're stopping the show and we talking about the ads are long. 60-second ads every single time y'all cut out is too much for me on a podcast. And then they do the disgusting business spotlight joint that they're charging these dudes that always get accused of being scammers. They're charging these dudes to come on there and do that whole thing. So it's like, it's a disgusting 10-minute advertisement. I do not want to watch a show and see a 10-minute advertisement. I don't care what it is. And then that's one of the lower paying things. So they do that because they don't have to share that money with Barstool, right? That's like an under the table type thing. They bring these people on, they pay $50,000, they get 10 minutes of $1 million worth of game, they make it look like an interview, and they don't have to share that money with Barstool at all because they don't even know what they're doing, right? So Tony the Closer is the one that exposed that. I'm not the one exposing that. Tony the Closer exposed that. So yeah, so I'm not the biggest fan of the model that they chose, but I'm not mad at them for getting extremely rich. Like that's a tag team from heaven right there. Gillian Wallow, like, there's not too many people funnier than them two together. I think Joe said something good on the podcast. He said, last time I was in the Times, it was entertainment. It was in the entertainment section. This ain't entertainment. That's big. That's big to see. Now I'll wrap it up with this. This is where I feel like people trying to be too cool is where you really play yourself, right? And I'm not about to wrap it up. I'm gonna still keep talking. This is where trying to be too cool is where you play yourself. Nobody has played themselves in this whole situation with Joe Budden and the podcast wars and all this. Nobody's played themselves more than Rory and Mal. Why do I say that? Not because they were wrong for going and starting their own show. They are not wrong for that at all. They got money and they're rich now. Great, amazing. The reason I say that they played themselves with this being too cool shit is because there's no way in hell that Rory and Mal should have walked away from the Joe Budden podcast and allowed it to continue operation. I don't care what Joe or Ian or anybody else says. Rory is an owner of the Joe Budden podcast. I don't care what nobody say. Rory has done more than enough to have equity in the Joe Budden podcast. He's been there since day one. He's been there since the beginning. That's not even a question, right? I'm not, that wouldn't even be a debate. I don't care what he say. I don't care what anybody says, right? Rory should not have left. That podcast should have been stuck in court before they ever was able to put another episode out, before he left that podcast and just went and did his own thing. Rory, I'm saying. Now, I think Mal also, because he was around before they had any agreements and all that type of stuff, he shouldn't have left either without equity. Because if we are all doing this thing together and we're on the shows together, we're doing the same amount of work on camera, right? And the show is based on all of us, you're going to have to argue with me in court about why you think I don't own a piece of this thing. I'm talking about when it was called I'll Name This Podcast Later, right? You're going to have to, I'm talking about Mal now. From Mal's, if I was Mal, Joe, you're going to have to argue in court why you think I don't own a piece of this thing that I helped build. I could show the numbers what it was like before I got here. And we could show the numbers what it was like after. Mal saved the podcast. Let's just be real. I was listening when Joe was snatching the mic from Marty to Body. The podcast completely changed when Mal got there. And Mal ain't my favorite character in this whole thing. I'm just saying, this is reality. The podcast changed drastically and dramatically when Mal got there. The fan base changed when Mal got there. They needed Mal in a world where Taxstone was running black podcasts, like the urban black podcast world. And Mal is nothing like Taxstone, but I'm saying they needed a voice like Mal's while Tax was doing what he was doing, right? There would be no way you would get me away from that situation without equity. And if you don't think I own equity, should be given equity, it'll be in court. You won't be able to make another dollar until a judge says that I don't own none of this. That's from Mal's perspective. Rory, it really wouldn't even be an argument. I think that if they should have wrapped that thing up in litigation, there would be no more Joe Budden podcast. He would have had to start a different podcast with a different name and start all the way over. That YouTube channel, well, that'd be a different argument. But that RSS feed to the Joe Budden podcast, lock that thing down. You get no more of that. You're going to have to rebuild all of them subscribers from the ground up, right? Any ad revenue that came from that thing that you didn't want to share with us, we need some of that now. Them books that you didn't want to show us, the accounting information, you wanted to give us some little weak spreadsheet. We want to see all of it now. All the receipts, all the payments, all expenses. We need it all. I want tax returns. I want every receipt. Give me everything. If I'm Rory, you would not be able to continue with that podcast. That's not even no hater shit. That's business. It don't make sense to walk away from business that you built. That's not the cool thing to do. It's not corny for you to say, I own some of that podcast. That very successful business, you're not corny for saying you own it. That don't even make no sense. If I'm recalling correctly, when Rory and Mal did when they did their whole explanation thing on Vimeo or wherever the hell they did that at, I think Rory said the first like podcast stuff was going through his email. It's when the first episode, right? So I'm trying to understand how like we talking about grown men that get money and all this type of stuff. How y'all think like, oh no, it would have been corny if I would have sued. If somebody's taking something from you, you don't want to take it to the streets, but you can't just let somebody take something from you. You just walk away. That don't even make sense. There's no way to make that make sense either. You see what I'm saying? Like y'all didn't do the cool thing. Going and starting the Rory and Mal show was cool, but walking away from millions and millions of dollars that you helped build, that's not the cool thing at all. Rory and Mal were the only two people that had claim to equity in that show. I know Joe, he did the coldest manipulation game possible. He made them think they were quitting. He was trying, like this is what companies do all the time. when they don't want to work with you anymore, but they're in a position where they can't really fire you because they're worried about the repercussions, they will just make it very, very, very uncomfortable in the workplace and make you quit or try to get you to quit, right? Companies do it all the time to black people when they don't want to work with them no more. They just make them uncomfortable and they quit. So then now you don't really have claim to anything, right? That's what Joe did to them. Cold play. I can't knock it. Cold play. But y'all should have never walked away. And Maul, hey, whatever. Rory, you should have never walked away from that show. Not to say you shouldn't have walked away from the show. You shouldn't have walked away and allowed it to continue making revenue without you having ownership in it. There's no way. Y'all could say, look, if this ever come across Rory and he's like, oh, this is just some unknown, no name that don't know what he's talking about. Okay. Play that game all you want. There is no way in hell. Rory, what's his last name? Farrell, whatever his last name, Rory, whatever his last name is, right? Should have walked away, allowed them to continue generating revenue without him getting at least 25% of that. I don't care. He was there for everything. We about to play. Because I got something. You know what we about to do? You know what I got? I got a clip. I got a clip to play just from time throughout the JBP and what was going on at the JBP. All right. Let's go back. Y'all see the name on that, right? That says I'll name this podcast later. Let's listen to this to some of what was going on back then. All right, let me go back to episode 1. Right.
To talk about.
Nothing happened. Absolutely nothing happened this week.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Joe Budden, Marissa, go ahead.
Hold up, son.
Oh, yeah.
Name this show later.
I'll name this show later.
With Joe Budden.
That would be me and you.
Me. I'm Marissa Mendez.
Don't take over the mic.
I'm
already.
just saying.
Now, how are you feeling?
Amazing. I had a great day already.
You're probably not about who's where this.
Okay, y'all hear this? The show was ass with Marissa. I'm not gonna lie, I was listening, but it was ass. And Joe was still getting high. They was enabling him. Marissa was letting him do and say anything. Even Rory was letting him do and say anything, right? It didn't have that. It didn't have the homeboy vibe yet. Even when Rory came, it didn't have the homeboy vibe yet, right? It was trash back then. They probably would have ended They probably would have ended this podcast if it would have stayed with Joe and Marissa. Honestly, probably wouldn't be around anymore, right?
Society is headed.
I don't think it's that. We were really in the midst of All-Star Weekend. It's not like...
Chicks really don't want to be booed up.
Yes, I do.
Nah.
I would rather just cuddle all day and like not go do shit.
And not go
not go to toxic
stalk rappers' Instagram pages and find out where they're going to be, and then just pop up randomly hoping to say
and like cook for them even though I can't cook.
Episode 2. Let's listen to episode 2.
So
We're going, guys, whenever you want to start.
Rory, why you got your
Do y'all hear that? This is literally episode 2 from February 24, 2015. Literally the first name that Joe Budden says, the first word Joe Budden says at the beginning of episode 2 of the Joe Budden podcast is Rory. He said Rory's name before he said anything else. Let's listen again.
Also, like cuddle and like cook for them, even though I
Listen
can't
hard.
cook, but I can make French toast. So
We're going, guys, whenever you want to start.
Rory, why you got your fucking
Rory looks like a pilgrim.
adult Gap outfit on?
Rory, why you got your adult Gap outfit on? February 24, 2015, this came out. This is 10 years ago. Right? 10 years ago. Rory is at the beginning of this whole shit. There is no way I'm at the beginning of this whole shit. I'm there through the Spotify deal. I'm there after. You tell me to go home one day and now I'm quitting. It's not happening. This wasn't no corporate running thing. I wasn't an employee. I wasn't contracted. None of that. I'm a owner here. There's no way.
No, he looks like God.
Rory really be trying to see it.
Let's go later. Let's go later in the game. When Maul gets there. Energy completely
I'll name this
different.
podcast later. You guessed it, folks. Episode 90.
Completely different energy when Maul gets there.
90. We have ventured away from the 80s.
We was in the 80s for like 3 months.
You've been ventured away from the 80s, Joe.
Well, we started. This is how we just started. Like, all right, we're gonna start like.
When they add Maul, now this was the explosion of male friend group podcasts all over the country. When they added Maul, it started to make men feel like, oh, me and my friends can come out and do a podcast. This is the explosion of black podcasts. Of podcasts amongst black men. Them added Maul. This is 2016. This is way before any deals, any Spotify deal, anything like that. Right? The fact he was around before episode 1, they in the 800s now. I think he left around when they was in the 500s, I think, or maybe the 400s, something like that. Come on, man.
Like that. Let me turn my motherfucking. Would you like to introduce everyone, Maul?
Yeah, I'm Maul. Obviously, that's Rory.
Your Maul name is so trash.
That's my real name, nigga. The fuck you talking about?
Well, why are you the only nigga from Harlem that have never had like an alias? What's your alias?
I don't need an alias.
But you have one.
Maul.
You're not in my phone as that.
I don't care what I'm in your phone as.
A lot more laughter when Maul come around. It's a lot fun. So now we skip forward a couple more years, right? And now the fans are saying, "Oh, we love Maul. Maul is the favorite now. Parks is around now. The audio is the best now in 2018."
Middle name?
Yeah.
All right.
I don't think it's an amazing. That was a good album.
Let me get
a lot of good songs.
Relax, Maul. We ain't even record yet, and you trying to get into your Nicki bag. Damn.
The audio was there.
Barbs unite, my nigga.
You a barb. You on video jamming to the barbs.
Can I get into my?
You don't have me on no video ever jamming to the barbs. You on video jam? Nicki killed.
That is a fact.
She smoked this one. Get the fuck out of here, nigga. You a barb, not me. This is the first time I've listened to a full Nicki
Parks
album.
laugh in the background.
Really? The first time ever.
Now they have become the best sounding podcast in the business. When they bring an audio engineer from the music industry into their podcast, right? So although Parks wasn't there at the beginning and he will not have any ownership claims, he will definitely be the highest paid person on that podcast from now until infinity, besides Joe Budden, I'm saying. Right? He will definitely be the highest paid on the show. I'm not going to take up any more of your time on this Joe Budden topic because I realized that I got something I got to go do. Right? Not that I realized, but I already knew. But y'all let me know what y'all think about that. The pod wars are not over. They have revamped themselves, and now Charlamagne and Joe are bosses now and doing very good and very well in life. But they took very different approaches. These dudes are really like Magneto and Professor X. Charlamagne being Professor X, he has rounded up all of the mutants, right? Joe has gotten the rejected mutants and showed them what their power really is. He's Magneto. He's highly disruptive. Now, let's move on to the case of the week. The case of the week, man, is a heavy one, man. I'm not even gonna lie. I really got I tried to get in my investigative journalist bag. I went and reached out to some people and all that, but I didn't get anything back. Now, let me read this story to y'all. Let me read this story to y'all because it is crazy. This is a very, very, very tragic situation. Let me read it for y'all. Our case of the week. A 3-year-old boy dies after being left in hot car in Birmingham. He was in Bessemer, Alabama. I'm guessing that's around Birmingham, right? Let's read here. Very tragic, man. A 3-year-old boy died after being left in a hot car in Birmingham on Tuesday. The boy has been identified by family as Katarius KJ Sparks of Bessemer. Authorities say he was found alone inside a hot vehicle that was parked at a home on the 1500 block of Pine Tree Drive. Officials say he was left in the car on Tuesday, July 22nd from around 12:30 p.m. until around 5:30 p.m. Look at that boy. Come on, man. He was 3. Literally, my son just turned 4 today. So my son was 3 when this happened. I couldn't imagine. Birmingham police say Katarius KJ Sparks was accidentally left inside. Why do you even put accidentally right here? And why would the police say that? I'm going to tell y'all why I'm saying what I'm saying. Accidentally was left inside the vehicle while in the care of Covenant Services, a third-party contracted worker for the Department of Human Resources, DHR. Birmingham Fire and Rescue Service arrived and pronounced him dead. The Department of Human Resources released the following statement. A child in DHR custody was being transported by a contracted provider when the incident occurred. The provider has terminated their employee due to confidentiality. DHR cannot comment further regarding the identity of the child or the exact circumstances. We already know the circumstances now. Come on, give us the info. Police say the contracted worker has been cooperative and was taken to the Birmingham Police Headquarters for questioning. Both KJ's biological and foster families are struggling to understand how such a tragedy could have occurred. Katarius Sparks Sr., the boy's biological father, told reporters he last saw his son during a scheduled visitation Tuesday morning at the DHR office in Bessemer. He had no idea it would be his final time he held his child. I mean, words can't even express how I feel right now, Sparks said, holding back tears. As soon as I leave my son, the first thing he says is, Daddy, I want to go with you. He says that every time and it really hurts. Sparks said he typically hands his son over to the representative from Covenant Services, a private child welfare provider who was responsible for transporting the child to daycare after each Tuesday visit. But this time, that didn't happen. The family says when Sparks' foster mother arrived to pick him up later that day, he was nowhere to be found. As both families mourn the loss of KJ, questions remain about how a child entrusted to the care of child welfare providers could have been left in a car for 5 hours. We went to theme parks. We had a blast. We went to the swimming pool. We just got back Friday, said Ernest Miller, a cousin from KJ's foster family. We were looking forward to him growing up and being part of this family, and now he's just gone. Look at this kid. Come on, man. You know, the Birmingham police the police department is investigating the circumstance surrounding KJ's death. No, that ain't enough. There's more. Let me find. There's another article about this. Okay, first, let's put it like this, because I know a lot of the story. I've been looking into this. All right, so this is what happened, right? The biological parents had this child taken, right? The child was taken from the biological parents. CPS took him. They placed him in foster care. While in foster care, they were still doing supervised visits with the biological parents, right? Or at least one of the parents, because the father is the one who was involved in this, right? So there were supervised visits with the father. For these supervised visits, the child was at daycare, and the service called Covenant Services, their transportation. They do all type of welfare services, but for this instance right here, they were doing transportation. They went and picked the baby up from daycare. They took the baby to the DHR office so that they could have the supervised visit with the dad. The supervised visit ended at 11:30 that morning, right? From there, the Covenant Services driver went to go get food and went to the gas station and then went to their house with this baby in the car. The only thing that they do is pick people up and take them to where they're supposed to be going. The only thing that they were supposed to be doing that morning was picking them up from daycare, taking them to DHR, picking them up from DHR, taking them back to the daycare. That's the only thing that they were supposed to be doing. I don't want to hear nothing about slipped your mind and all this type of stuff, right? If you literally just picked a 3-year-old up from DHR, how did you get to the gas station to go get you some cigarettes? You just picked a baby up from DHR, probably had to strap him in, all type of stuff. You in the hot ass Alabama sun. And you took the baby to your house. I got a son that was just 3 a few days ago. 3-year-olds don't stop talking or trying to talk. 3-year-olds, first of all, don't stop making noise. Unless they sleep, they don't stop making noise. Okay, maybe the baby was asleep, right? It wasn't asleep at first. I would bet you that Bessemer and Birmingham is a major city in Alabama, but it's not a big city. I don't think it would have taken you that long to get from DHR back to that daycare. I don't think so. I mean, I don't know, but I don't think so. Right? We need to get to the bottom of this dumbness, right? Stupidity. Because here's the thing. This is what a lot of people were saying. What a lot of people were saying is that, this is what I thought too at first, is that, okay, they're about to sue the hell out the county and they're going to get so much money. But then I really thought about it might not work that way because this is a contractor, an independent contractor, and the contractor was negligent, right? The contractor is at fault here. Let's look at who Covenant Services is. Covenant Services, Inc. has been providing services to families for 20 years. Our intake worker will contact families and social workers within 24 hours of receiving a referral. Services are offered in our office, the family's home, the community, and DHR offices. Sessions are scheduled at the family's convenience. Covenant Services, Inc. conducts monthly staff meetings as well as the annual ongoing training and education for staff. We are able to provide same-day service in most cases. Their website was last updated 2011. The website was last updated in 2011, 14 years ago. About Us. Oh, this is their About Us page. Wait, is their About Us the same as the home? Oh, okay. Mission statement. A covenant is a promise. Since our establishment, Covenant Services has promised and delivered exemplary services to the counties that entrusted us and the families that we serve. Covenant Services continues with the philosophy that service is the greatest contribution to humanity. In today's fast-paced society, gestures of gratitude are often marginalized. Our company has old-fashioned values that provide a holistic approach to serving individuals and families. Okay. These stock pictures. I wonder if their phones are being blown up right now. Should I call them live on the podcast? Let me call them live on the podcast and ask if they have any comments on. Should I do that? Get that messy? That ain't even messy though. They killed that child. I'm gonna ask them if they have any comments. Let's see if they answer. Give me a second, y'all. We're gonna see if they answer because this is some bull. I ain't going for it. I don't like this. 256. Y'all should call 236-1321.
Covenant Services, I may help you.
How you doing? I'm calling from a local media outlet. Are you guys at liberty to give a word on the hot car death that occurred this week?
I'm sorry, no, I can't make any comment on the incident at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So this is the thing, right? I normally don't even call people like that. This is what I actually did. I actually looked up the business, right? Because I was really trying to get some answers, trying to figure out what was going on here. So I looked them up and I found that here is the background on this business itself. Covenant Services, Inc. is an Alabama domestic nonprofit corporation filed on August 5th, 1999. The company's filing status is active and its file number is this, right? The registered agent on file is the company. For this company is Velma Northard and is located at this address. First of all, let me tell y'all something. Y'all start a business. Do not use your own name as the registered agent, and do not use your home address as the registered agent address. Don't do that. They got registered agent services. Because once you put it as the registered agent, it's public as hell. Anybody could find you. Look at this. Here are the incorporators here. Right. So Velma is clearly like she was the main boss of it all. Right. She started the business and these are her co-incorporators. Right. Miss Velma Northard has passed away a couple years ago. Right. She's dead now. This person here, I found her on Facebook. I reached out to her this morning. She did not have any comments. Her name is Nikisha Armour, and that's not her name anymore. She's been since married. She was only like 20 years old when this was done. So she seems to have moved on because she don't even live in Alabama no more. She lives in Villa Rica, Georgia, and is doing something completely different now. So I think that she's completely removed from this business. I still have to reach out to these other people, though. Sheila Swain, Anariah Thurman. So, and I don't know if any of them are still involved with the business. But I do know that they were incorporators at the beginning of the business, at the inception, right? So now people were talking about, you know, the ability to sue and all this type of stuff. And what came across my mind was, wait, if this is a contractor, you won't be able to sue the state. You're gonna have to sue the contractor, not the state. Now, here's why you can sue the contractor and not the state or the county. So what I did was I went to the DHR website and I wanted to see their transportation services. And what I wanted to see was pretty much what type of terms or conditions have they agreed upon with their partners, right? With the people that are contracted to do their transportation. So I went down here, I read through a few of these links, and I went to RFP, which is a request for proposal, right? A request for proposal this is not their contract, but this is for, like, if you decide that you want to put a proposal in to become one of their transportation partners, you have to understand their agreements, right? And what they have, they'll tell you down here, deep into this situation here, they'll essentially tell you, in order to be one of our partners, you have to agree to these things here, right? So scope of the project. So this is you saying, all right, this is the service that I'll provide, right? To be eligible, you have to be eligible for services under this procurement must be referred by the county DHR office in accordance. Okay. Additional required documentation, monitoring, site visits. Let me see here. What's one of these one? Okay, this is the part that's important right here for this incident. Additional requirements. Let me zoom in. Hold on. All right, additional requirements. Vendors will be responsible for the logistics of getting referred clients to work and activities timely, including contacting clients scheduled for drop-off and pickup, considering guidelines of how children are to be transported, and transporting only to locations and activities specifically approved by department. Now, this is in their original agreement to even become a vendor. Vendors will be responsible for the logistics of getting referred clients to work and activities timely, including contacting clients scheduled for drop-off and pickup, considering guidelines of how children are to be transported, and transporting only to locations and activities specifically approved by the department. That is all the DHR needs to cover themselves. Considering guidelines of how children are to be transported and transporting only to locations and activities specifically approved by department. If a Covenant Services driver takes a child to their house and leaves them in a car, they have broken the contract and now they're in negligent territory, but they are also removing the liability from DHR because this is not their negligence. This is not them saying, okay, we know that somebody is illegal or doing something illegal and we still hired them. So they wouldn't be at fault. DHR wouldn't be at fault. They would have to sue Covenant Services, really. And honestly, they should just go ahead and put them out of business. When you have workers doing this, and this is sad for everybody else that works there and for the people that own it and all this type of stuff, but the type of lawsuit that they deserve should put them out of business. I'm not going to lie. A hot car death when y'all took somebody's child from them. Not y'all. Covenant Service didn't do it. DHR did it. But DHR, CPS, took the child from the parents' custody and told them, in order for y'all to see your child from their foster parents, you will need to have supervised visits and you'll have to have them transported by our transportation, right? The fact that they would take this child from their parents and then one of the contractors for the state has now killed this child in a hot car. They say that this car, that the temperature in the car was regularly 108 that day and likely got up to 150 degrees inside that car, the heat index of 150 degrees. Y'all cooked the kid. The fact that they would take somebody's kid and then cook him in a car after a supervised visit with the dad is unfathomable, right? It's just unreal. Right? It's unreal. Considering guidelines of how children are to be transported and transporting only to locations and activities specifically approved by the department. That is their way of covering themselves. Why am I saying this? Right? Because states have this thing called sovereign immunity. That pretty much means you can't sue, not states and local governments and federal governments. It means you can't sue me unless I say you can sue me. Pretty much, you can't bring any lawsuits against me in my court unless I say you can. And for the purpose of this section, education employee means certified. Okay, so pretty much what they're saying is they're covered in all of these instances, right? The state is covered. Okay, there's a lot of different laws you have to look through for this, but sovereign immunity is pretty much their way of saying, hey, you can't sue us. There are ways that you can get around this sovereign immunity, but it would be because that there was negligence on the part of one of these state employees, like actual employees. And one of these rules here says specifically, this doesn't cover contractors. Independent contractors are not, you can't sue us for what an independent contractor does, right? So for the people who are looking like, okay, we're about to sue the state, we got to get a bunch of money, really they're only going to be able to sue Covenant Services, and I doubt that they have any substantial money like a state would. Like if a cop killed somebody, then there's millions of dollars that can be accessed. But with Covenant Services, they probably got $100,000 for you, which is horrendous. Because y'all took somebody's kid from them because you left them in a hot ass car outside your house while you went in the house to eat lunch by yourself. This is what I think, and I'm gonna be real. This is what I think happened. Because y'all seen what the dad said, right? The dad said that my son is always saying that he want to stay with me, he want to go with me, right? This is a 3-year-old, and I already know what's going on. This is a 3-year-old that has been taken from their family. I know for a fact that baby got in that car with that driver, and it was a lady. That baby got in that car with that driver and was crying. Guarantee it. The baby was crying. They didn't want to go back to daycare. They didn't want to go wherever that lady was going. They wanted to go back with their dad. Wherever their dad was going, that's where the baby wanted to go, right? Guarantee you they was crying. I guarantee you, as a way to punish that kid for crying, they said, I'm going to get some food. I'm leaving you in the car. So that's what they did. First place they went, because like I said, the visit was over at 11:30. They didn't drive to their house until 12:30. So why? They should have been arrested for that alone. The driver should have been arrested for that alone, because that to me looks like it's intentional. You drove around for an hour with this baby in your car and then you went home. I guarantee you that baby was crying, and I guarantee you they left him in the car because they was annoyed by him crying. He wouldn't shut up, and they said, oh, okay, I got something for you. Left him in the hot car thinking he wouldn't die. Thinking, I'm gonna go back in there, I'm gonna wake him up, and then I'll take him back to wherever you gotta go. Right? I really do hope that there's Ring camera footage or there's security camera footage somewhere at one of these gas stations that they went to in the neighborhood where that person was parked at. I hope there's a Ring camera footage so they could see that person and what they did. I guarantee you, as they were getting out the vehicle at one of those stops, I guarantee you they acknowledged that kid in the back seat in some way. Whether they looked back in the car while they was shutting the door, or they turned around in the car, told them shut up again or something like that, I guarantee you that we will see that it's beyond negligence. It's malicious. All right. So, this is the transportation. They are covered from DHR. They're covered from any lawsuits. It's a tragedy. But Covenant Services, y'all got to go out of business, man. Sorry to say that about a black business, but y'all got to go to F out of business. Hot car death from people that provide family services? Nah, there's no way. There's no way. I don't know how people can leave a baby in a car anyway, but there's no way. And then I wish we could find out what year the car was, because these newer cars give you a reminder. Hey, there's something in the back seat. Check your back seat. I know my truck is doing it. My truck is a 2023. is a reminder. Before you get out the car, if you open that back door at all, when you get out your car, it's going to tell you, hey, check your back seat, right? Just very disgusting, man. I hate to see it. I hate that little boy had to die like that, man. It's just a tragedy. You never want to see a little kid die in no tragic ways like that. Like, that's torture. The supervised visit was over at 11:30. That baby was in that car until 5:30 p.m. And that's just when they found the baby, right? So that baby was in the car. It's no telling how long it actually took the baby to die. The baby could have been dead after 3 hours. Who knows? You ain't cracked no windows or nothing. You know, you probably didn't give the boy nothing to eat when you went to go get something to eat. They just need to put the lady's face out there that did it. I'm not like, they should allow this person to be chastised and exiled from the community. For real. That's all I got though, man. I appreciate y'all for listening to me ramble on this long about all types of topics and things like that. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you comment. Make sure you share. Give me your comments below. Tell me what you think about the debate of the week. How should you mourn the loss of an ex, when they have a new spouse? Is it inappropriate to mourn and express your love for your ex? And then the case of the week, man. What do y'all think about this Bessemer, Alabama situation? The lawsuit that is coming with this. What do y'all think about it? Should Alabama be held liable for that? Should it like y'all took somebody's kid from them and then your contractor killed them? Should they be held liable for that, man? Crazy case of the week, I think, man. Y'all be easy. Peace.